From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fairbanks Evening News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for our broadcast. Our top story this evening, North Star Volunteer Fire Department responded to a house fire in North Pole off Rep Road. Now the blaze located at 2581 Clydesdale Road was quickly extinguished as firefighters searched the home for any occupants. No one was home at the time. A neighbor said she saw flames near the front of the house in what she described as a sunroom and saw a wood stove fall out of the burning structure. Fire personnel were still investigating as of press time. Fairbanks temperatures climbed above freezing earlier today, which caused freezing rain on the last day of 2014. Several vehicles, including a fire truck from the North Pole Fire Department, found themselves sliding into ditches because of slick roads this morning. The National Weather Service is reporting temperatures above 30 across the state. Officials with the Department of Transportation say conditions are difficult on parts of the Steese, Richardson, and Elliott highways. DOT spokeswoman Betsy Hess says drivers should remain cautious around other vehicles while road crews apply salt and sand on the streets.
So we want drivers to pay particular attention to our snow and ice removal equipment and watch out for it. And we ask that they please stay back 200 feet from all our equipment on the roads to give them plenty of space to work and for everyone to be safe.
The Fairbanks North Star Borough Division of Land Management is currently accepting sealed bids for a commercial timber sale. Bids will be accepted until 4 p.m. on Monday, January 5th of 2015. The commercial sale is called Loop Spruce, as the site is located off Loop Road in Salcha. The minimum bid to harvest saw timber and fuel wood from the 13-acre stand of mostly white spruce is $13,773. Full details of the contract can be found on the borough's website. Sealed bids will be opened after Monday's closing if time passes. If there are no qualified bids for the sale, then the Borough Assembly permits Loop Spruce to go over the counter at the minimum bid price. No bids have been submitted thus far, but borough officials say that is quite normal.
Usually what happens is people wait to the very last minute. They like to, I think it's just that whole procrastination thing, and they also want to see how many other people will come in. So usually about 3:45, 3:50 is when we get our bids.
As we look at highlights over the past year, many people were probably thinking they would need an ark with all the rain we received this summer. And according to weatherman Mike Schultz, it wasn't such a crazy idea.
Rarely does the Fairbanks area get continuous rainfall for days at a time. But 2014 changed that thinking with a very unique weather pattern.
Okay, so summer started out late May, early June was quite dry. And if you cast your mind back, you might remember we were a little bit worried about that upcoming fire season. There was that big fire on the Kenai Peninsula. Does this portend a smoky summer for Fairbanks? But dramatic pattern change right around the middle of June brought us a good soaking about the 18th of June. And thereafter, about every 10 days or so, we got a serious soaker. We wound up with, for the summer in Fairbanks, 11.63 inches of rain. By a small amount, the wettest summer ever.
And we weren't done. Just when you thought it would end, Mother Nature changed her mind.
If we extend that into September, you'll remember there was another soaker on the 1st and 2nd of September, and we had by far the wettest June through September with over 14 inches of rain in Fairbanks. Nothing even close to that in the century of weather records in Fairbanks.
The amazing thing about the weather pattern is that it only affected the interior.
But if you look at Alaska overall, it was actually only a small area, kind of in the central interior, that was really wet. Places in the upper Tanana Valley, for instance, actually wound up with below normal rainfall for the summer.
So what lies ahead for 2015? Well, have you got a coin you can flip? Because it is anybody's guess. Happy New Year. Mike Schultz reporting.
All right, when we come back, more of our year in review. We look at the standoff that occurred at Justice Store on Sheena Pump Road. Also, the Alaska National Guard's pararescue. That's the subject of our military report. Stay with us. And welcome back to the last broadcast of 2014. At 2:17 yesterday morning, state troopers took 36-year-old Justin Sabi of Fairbanks into custody on charges of being a fugitive from justice. Now, Sabi was wanted on a warrant from the Washington State Department of Corrections. Corrections officials say he was being sought for failing to report to serve a sentence for felony assault and holding a person against their will. Well, a standoff earlier this year near University West diverted traffic for hours. Stephanie Woodard was on scene and takes us back through what happened in this report.
Police cordoned off the area of Justice Store near Geist Road early in September after an early morning high-speed chase was the setup for an hours-long standoff.
Negotiating with the suspect who eluded the police earlier this morning, and we're trying to get him to put down a firearm that he has. He has threatened to commit suicide or suicide by cop.
Negotiators worked tirelessly to attempt to get the suspect to surrender.
It's hard to get inside his mind. I think he's scared. He's scared of what's going to happen. He's scared of his future.
During our live broadcast, the suspect called and identified himself via cell phone to the news station as Michael Bracht.
I did not ram any vehicle at all. The officer tried to pit me, and I did not. I swerved, and I made it out of the pit maneuver, and I made it here. What's going through my mind? I'm going to die today. That's what's going through my mind.
His girlfriend, who was also held hostage for hours during the standoff before she was released to officers, said Bracht had previously done drugs, but not that evening, and was afraid during the incident.
He wasn't planning on hurting anybody. You know, he wasn't trying to make it look like he was going to hurt anybody. He just didn't want to be, trapped by the cops, which is why he, said if they come up, I'm not going to shoot, but if they come up to the vehicle, then it's me defending myself.
Bracht was charged with multiple felonies in the incident and remains in custody at Fairbanks Correctional Center.
There's certainly be some charges. Like I said, we have 3 vehicles that are pretty significantly damaged. I know towards the end there he was pointing the gun at one of the teams that was behind the store. He was pointing the gun at them. That caused some significant concerns for them, and let's just say fear. That's what's required for criminal charges. And so there's a lot of pieces to put together, but certainly there'll be some criminal charges out of this.
Trial for his case is set for January. I'm Stephanie Woodard reporting.
We reported yesterday that a hunter became lost in the Minto Flats Refuge, and the National Guard located and rescued him. Monty Bowen has more on the Guard's para-rescue unit in this week's military report.
Their mission, responding anywhere around the world at a moment's notice to save lives, even in the most hostile environment.
Our Alaska Squadron, the 212th Rescue Squadron, they provide a full-time alert commitment for the state of Alaska. It's actually more to support the fighters that fly out of there. However, they end up doing far more civilian rescue missions than anybody else, and the state depends heavily on them for that.
Their initial training takes about 2 years to complete and is considered one of the most demanding programs within the Special Operations community. The Guard units respond to other parts of the country when needed.
In times of extreme necessity, floods, earthquakes, hurricanes, we're always there. Snowstorms, the New York team just, 2 years ago, was an incredible help in one of the snowstorms they had up north. I think the world depends on a lot of what pararescue does.
These things we do that others may live, that's the pararescue motto. This is Monty Bowen reporting.
The Military Report is brought to you by Stanley Nissan. Innovation for all.
And before we head into the break, we just wanted to thank our web graphic designer, Kimberly Columbero, for the beautiful fireworks on our KTVF logo. Now, Joe Cook is next. He'll have the end-of-the-year sportscast with more plays and moments of the year. And one player was the spark for an Ice Dogs comeback last night. All that and more next with Joe Cook.
Welcome back, Interior Alaska. Joe Cook here with the last sportscast of 2014. Thanks for tuning in. And their first game after the holiday break, Fairbanks Ice Dogs were victorious on Tuesday night, trailing 3-2, 5 minutes into the second period to the Johnstown Tomahawks. Fairbanks ripped off 4 unanswered goals to win 6-3. Adam Anderson was the spark plug for Fairbanks, scoring the game-tying and eventual game-winning goal for the Dogs. It's the 20th win of the year for Fairbanks, and it puts them back on top of the Midwest Division. The two teams meet again tonight to wrap up the series. The boys are back in town. This week, Nanook sports will be in full swing to kick off 2015 on New Year's Day. The basketball teams will have a doubleheader at the Patty Center. The women's team will host Central Washington at 5 p.m. And the men's team, they will follow at 7:15, taking on Western Washington. Both squads looking for their first conference wins of the season. Then on Friday, the 6th place Alaska Nanook hockey team will start the new year at the Carlson Center against the 4th place Ferris State Bulldogs. Game 1 is Friday night at 7:07 at the Carlson. Here are some of today's results from the Clark Cochran Christmas Classic in Ketchikan. The North Pole Patriots lost to the Petersburg Vikings 41-53 in the 4th place game. The Monroe girls team, they lost to University Prep 26-52 in the 4th place game as well. And in Wasilla at the Doc Larson Classic, the West Valley boys finished 0-3 after losing 52-57 to Wasilla. Daniel Hornbuckle had 31 points in the loss for West Valley. And we wrap up our Moments of the Year tonight with more great memories from 2014. Who are the last 2 winners of the Yukon Quest? It's one man, Alan Moore. The Two Rivers resident won the last 2 Yukon Quest titles, winning the rough 1,000-mile race from Fairbanks to Whitehorse, Yukon in February. The last musher to win consecutive quests was Lance Mackey in 2008. Truly memorable was the ending in the Hutchinson Hawks versus Houston Hawks in the Greatland State Championship hockey game back in February. Hutchinson's Brandon Rustad scored the game winner in overtime. Hutch won 4-3 over Houston, powered by Rustad's 3 goals. Interior high schools also made history this year. The West Valley girls flag football team won the first ever high school flag football title for interior high schools with an 8-1 record. 3 players from the interior won Alaska State Gatorade Players of the Year awards. Monroe's Scooter Bynum won the award in baseball and basketball. He became the 4th athlete to do that in the award's 20-year history. Bynum was also drafted in the 18th round of the MLB draft by the Cincinnati Reds. West Valley's Ruthie Hebert won it in girls basketball, averaging 21.7 points per game, 14 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 3 steals, leading the Wolfpack to 3rd at the state tournament. Then Allison's Anthony Griffith led the Allison Ravens to an undefeated season and the small school state title. The Ravens defeated the rival Nikiski Bulldogs 55-51 for their 2nd title in 3 years in October. Griffith was also named Alaska Gatorade State Player of the Year. He set the single-game rushing record against Nikiski in September with 516 rush yards and 8 touchdowns. The 2014 Small Schools Offensive Player of the Year rushed for 2,268 yards and 32 touchdowns in just 8 games as a senior. Griffith finished his career with 5,625 yards and 85 touchdowns in 3 seasons as a Raven. And lastly, the 2014 Arctic Winter Games. This massive athletic and cultural event for the circumpolar north area happens every other year, and it came back to the interior for the first time since 1988, back in March. Alaska dominated this year's games, winning the most ulus or medals at 190. Team Alaska was also the gold standard, winning the most gold ulus with 67. They also won the most silver and bronze ulus as well. That wraps up our Moments of 2014. And now we end our 2014 Sportscast with some of the top plays from the I-5 from this year. Check them out.
Be your top 3 right there.
Some great plays and moments there. That's it for sports tonight. Mike Schultz is next with your full weather forecast. Have a happy and safe New Year. See you in 2015.
Hello everyone, Mike Schultz with you once again, taking a look at the weather on the last day of the year. And it wasn't a bad day across the interior. We had a little bit of light snow and some mixed rain, but the roads have gotten considerably better. We had a good job for the folks at DOT. And we're, again, reminding you, though, to take it easy because the roads are going to be very slick in some spots, so keep that in mind. Our numbers look like this for the last day. Today's high was 33, the low last night 15, the record high 35, 1982. In 1961, it got down to 57 below. The sunrise and sunset, just about 4 hours of daylight, a gain of 2 minutes from yesterday. On our satellite and radar, you can again see the moisture flowing across. This time it's moving in from the west to the east. That's why we had a little better chance of getting a little bit of light snow activity this morning than this afternoon, and a little bit of rain still because there is some southerly flow in the lower levels that's helping to bring that warm temperatures in. That's going to change, though, pretty drastically as we head in toward the weekend. Now, what's going on across the rest of the state? Showers around Ketchikan, also showers at Juneau. Not too bad in the Anchorage area, 41 degrees. How about that? 34 at Kodiak with just mainly partly cloudy skies. Along the Aleutian chain, also partly cloudy skies. And up and down the west coast, for the most part, not too bad. 29 at Nome and Barrow at 4 degrees below zero, with Fort Yukon 18 above. Lower 48 weather looks like this, and again, the rain and the snow are the big news today. Snow moving across the northern and central plains, freezing rain and moving across parts of Texas, and of course around the Las Vegas area, 43 degrees for their high. They're still looking at a little possibility of some light snow, a little rain falling across the deep south. Nice weather up and down the eastern seaboard. Now, as far as our satellite and radar, you can see the area of low pressure working its way slowly to the east, moving across the Las Vegas area, bringing a couple hours of light snow this afternoon, but no real major accumulation like they were expecting. That system will continue to move off to the east. And the overall picture is for that system to also help to bring in cold air. Winds behind it will be basically gusting about 30 miles an hour. Wind chill factors dropping down to near zero for Las Vegas. That's unheard of. And the overall picture for the jet stream for this weekend is calling for it to take a pretty good dip down to the south, with the Arctic blast moving right on down into the bottom part of that lower level of the jet and then roaring back up across the Great Lakes. Okay, well, back to Alaska. What's it look like for tomorrow? Well, partly cloudy skies expected at Barrow, cloudy in Fort Yukon, and some snow in the Nome area. While over the southeastern or south central sections, I should say, flurries at Fairbanks, a little snow shower activity in Delta, and still a little snow possible for the folks in Healy. And over to the southeast, well, mainly rain across the entire region from Juneau right across to Ketchikan, where they're expecting a high of 43. And over the southwest part of the state, partly cloudy for Bethel, rain and snow in Cold Bay, and sunny skies at Kodiak. If you head on down to the Anchorage area for the new year, mainly cloudy skies across the entire region, temperatures in the low to mid 30s. All right, once again, time for our weather fact for the last day of the year. And here's what it looks like. In 1963, New Orleans, Louisiana had close to 5 inches of snow along with freezing temperatures. Very unusual. It doesn't happen very often there. As always, thanks to Mount McKinley Bank for sponsoring our kids' weather. And like I said, the kids will be back with us next Tuesday after their vacation. And the kids from Pearl Creek Elementary School will be our guests for that kids' weather episode. All right, here's what's going on for tonight. 12 degrees, cloudy skies, snow showers, possibly mixed with rain. It's just about out of the picture. The latest radar is showing all that is really moved off to the east, so I think we're home free for the rest of the night. 18 degrees for the overnight daytime high tomorrow, with flurries and temperatures falling into the evening hours. And the 5-day outlook, you see the temperatures 8 below for the high on Friday, 5 below Saturday, and then a slow warm up to single digits above. Overnight lows will also be once again looking at chilly temperatures, 14 below Friday night, and then somewhat of a recovery for the next 4 days after that. But it could be a lot worse.
It could be. Okay, real quick, New Year's resolution.
To be honest, get in some better shape.
Better shape?
Probably.
Yeah, losing weight.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to think of the Chichen and all the children's Chichen.
What?
It's Michael Jackson. Sorry, I had to do it. Very good. You didn't get it. I don't know. I'm usually pretty good at those. That'll wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We are glad you could join us.
Tomorrow we will also be celebrating the new year, so no news.
With our Chichen.
We will be back Friday, but until then, from all of us here at the KTVF business,
and family,
and News Center. We hope you and yours have a safe and happy New Year, and
Happy New Year! Hey! All right. Who's going to pick that up?
Happy 2015.
I don't know.
Maybe the Chi-Chi.